Well, Taiwan is strongly condemning China for carrying out military exercises and launching missiles into the waters around the island after Nancy Pelosi's visit. Joining me live now is former DFAT Australia-China Council scholar Andrew Phelan. Andrew, good morning to you. You are an astute observer like no one else around this region. So what has all of this said to you this week? Where are we leading here?
Well, Nancy Pelosi was right to visit Taiwan, but the way the US handled it was a bit of a mess because it got out publicly. Biden was advising her not to go, saying the Pentagon advised her not to go. And of course, that gave China a heads up. Taiwan is a raw nerve issue for the government in Beijing. It has been since the founding of the People's Republic of China. And in the mid-90s, during the first Gulf War, the mainland shelled Taiwan. And at the time, President Clinton sent not one but two aircraft carrier strike groups through the Taiwan Strait. And China couldn't do anything about it. And from that point on, they were determined not to see that scenario happen again. And of course, between then and now, they have increased their military power dramatically.
Is this a blockade? I mean, looking at the pictures of the military drills that are taking place around Taiwan at the moment, there's 5 such points that have Taiwan completely surrounded. Is that a blockade to you, or the beginnings of one?
I think it could be described as obviously a show of force, but also a dress rehearsal for what Taiwan could do. You know, they could say, they've already recently said that the Taiwan Strait is their territorial waters. That's unprecedented. So this is, if you like, a kind of ADIZ or air defence identification zone, which says, hey, nobody's allowed to come in through this area, either by air or by sea. If you do, you have to give us notice, get our permission, that sort of thing. They're showing their capability. They were never going to take direct military action as a result of the Pelosi visit. But what this does is it takes the level of brinkmanship up to the next level in a big way and really throws down the gauntlet to the US defence forces and says, this is what you're going to deal with if you want to, challenge us in this part of the world.
So China was always going to respond to Pelosi's visit. Has what they've done surprised you in any way, or has it kind of been quite predictable?
It hasn't surprised me. As I said, I don't think they were going to do anything direct militarily, as in fire on the Taiwan main island, or to fire on Taiwan planes or ships in the area, and certainly not US ones. But it does take the whole conversation to the next level. And it means that any planning for future scenarios is going to be taken a lot more seriously. And it's a huge wake-up call, I think, for the region about how real this is and how dangerous it is for the whole region and the world, in fact. I mean, you saw Nancy Pelosi visit TSMC, the largest chip maker in the world, on Taiwan. Then she was in Korea yesterday. She met with Samsung, another big chip maker, SK Hynix, another one. So, you know, if Taiwan is surrounded, it's going to make it very difficult, next to impossible, for trade and for those products to be exported. I think this blockade will last for a few days, and then things will retreat and get back to normal. Okay. She is going to want relatively smooth sailing up until the Party Congress later in the year to secure that term extension.
So there's not really much of a chance of an accidental misfire when it comes to these missile strikes into the sea?
I don't think so. I think they're just showing their capacity, flexing their muscles, as it were, firing them to the sea. There's always the possibility of a mistake or an accident, even within the Chinese defence forces themselves, or the PLA. But I don't think they're going to do anything as stupid as fire on Taiwan's assets. You know, that would open a whole new can of worms.
So what would be the next? I mean, you say there's a couple more days left. Is there another form of a grey war tactic, if we can describe it that way, that might still come?
No, I don't think so. I think another couple of days and this will subside. But when it does and the dust settles, the analysts will be looking at this, taking it to bits and saying, what does this mean? And does this bring forward a potential attempted invasion of Taiwan? Does it bring that time frame forward a year or two? That's going to be the big issue. And then what does the US do to respond to the challenge?
The time frame for going for Taiwan?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, right. By a couple of years, maybe.
Yep. I think so.
Okay. Good to have you, Andrew. We'll talk to you again soon.
Good to talk to you, Peter.
All
Cheers.
right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.